God bless everyone. Judy here. Today is Tuesday, the 13th of November, and I'm coming to you through sunny California through the fires. Actually, it's freezing cold. It's like 30 degrees, and it is very smoky. School was canceled once again because of extreme hazardous air conditions. All of Sonoma County schools are closed. They're going to let us know day by day when they're going to reopen, but it started to clear up a tad yesterday, just a tad, to where you weren't choking. And school was in, and then they sent another email that, nope, the air got really bad again late last night. No school. And, I'm an opportunist. I'm an opportunist in tragedy. And I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm Jesus opportunist. And I'm going to go take advantage of the situation, of the tragedy for my father, and I'm going to go take advantage of this tragedy and bring in the glory for God's goodness. We're going to drive there tomorrow, my son and I, and we're going to meet Aaron from Redeem 44, and we'll be in Chico at the shelters. We're going to have a sign that says free hugs and prayer, but it's no wimpy little God loves you, let me pray for you to get your house back and your car back and your boat back, and let me pray for you to get a GoFundMe so you can start rebuilding. I was thinking of bringing all these little things to bless people, like setting up bringing water, care packages, and the Lord's like, no, you're not there for that. You're not there to give. You're not there for that. You're there to tell them what time it is and pray for people and let them know I'm coming and get their souls ready. To get their souls ready. Because this is a birth pain. I've given people another chance. And some people have to lose houses and cars and boats and pets in order to save their soul. And that's what I've done here. And he said, so don't be distracted by because I'm a compassionate person, don't be distracted even by that. Just be led by my spirit. And he told me just to say what time it is. It's no... and God's love is the most powerful message you can ever give. Don't get me wrong, right? But his love and compassion sometimes looks, it sometimes looks like, it doesn't sometimes look like that, even though it is. There's been times when I'm disciplining my child, my love and compassion leads me to be a strict disciplinarian because I care. And that's what God is going forth as. I can feel it for tomorrow. And we'll just take one day at a time. I have a rental car. And we're just trusting God that we will sing through the fire and rejoice in him and watch what he does. We couldn't go today because my son has a guitar concert. And so we're going to go in the morning. And so just lift us up, everybody. And we're going to believe that the Lord is going to bring in a few. He's calling them the stragglers. A few more brides, some stragglers. I can't wait to sit next to a straggler at the wedding supper of the Lamb. I'll be like, I brought in a few stragglers, and it's going to be great. And I'm kidding. Of course, we're all stragglers. We all made it into the kingdom, didn't we? We all made it in by the blood of Jesus. So that's not a put down, but there's some last minute people that he wants to bring into his feast. And so we're going to go gather them. We are going up. The Lord has really been speaking to me about this time we're in right now. And so, a lot of people think it's an opportunist is a negative term in tragedy. And there are opportunists in tragedies who do terrible things and take advantage, but we're taking advantage for God's glory, his kingdom. That's what we are, bride. We're opportunists in birth pangs. We are opportunists in the birth pangs because these birth pangs are only going to get worse. And here's what he told me this morning. We were praying and lifting up my friend and I on the phone this morning, and as we were praying, I saw the fires rising higher, and we were praying for all of California. We were praying for even the celebrities and calling them back home. And as we were praying, I saw them thinking, I'll rebuild. Yamarakiri, Yamarakai, as we prayed for people in Malibu and certain stars who've lost everything in their mansions, and they're not super stressed because they'll rebuild. And God told me, and they'll rebuild. And as they're rebuilding, I'll burn it again. And I'll burn it again. And another fire, and it'll burn. It's all going to burn. And you will say, where can I rebuild? There's nowhere to rebuild. And then you'll look up. And I just heard him say this, and when he gets like this with me, it's just the way he works through the years. I'm sorry, my voice changes. I'm not trying to be dramatic and all that, but God's a drama king of kings. He really is. He's the drama king, right? And so we mirror him, right? And so he rises up in me and yells these things out. And as we were praying, he was saying, you won't rebuild. And these fires will continue. And I'm just going to tell you how he showed me. These fires will continue from the West Coast to the East Coast. This nation will burn. And he told me that these fires in California on this West Coast are going to have a ripple effect. And I saw a ripple effect going all across the United States of America from West Coast to East Coast. And it's not stopping. The birth pangs are picking up. And one disaster after another. It's a ripple effect. And it's starting here. And as it goes in California, so goes the nation, as the political expression goes. You know, all the policies and evil things that get passed in California first eventually get adopted by all the other nations, right? And here it goes, the Lord said, the fire will burn and it's not going to stop. And you will say, we can rebuild with my wealth, and I will burn it again. Even in the middle of rebuilding, I saw frames going up, like, you know, framers that are, there's in construction, there's the framers who frame, and then the next people come along and do their job. And the framers couldn't even finish framing, and it burnt again. And you think you can rebuild, and you think you can mock me. It is time, and I can feel his great judgment today, and I can feel his great love. I can feel his heart. And if you think that God's heart rejoices over death and sorrow and burning, you're wrong. I can feel his great sorrow, and I can feel his great judgment. And believe me, these are birth pangs. Judgment has not begun. These are birth pangs. Birth pangs, when judgment comes, when I'm talking the judgment in Revelation, where it begins after the rapture. The bride is still here. We're not being judged along with the world. The reason why so many lives are being spared is because the bride is still here. Peace is still here. This is not judgment, yes. This is increased birth pangs. But what he's saying is it's discipline. It's discipline. And I am disciplining this planet. And he told me, he said, this isn't time. And that's nice when we have GoFundMes for people and stuff like that. But he spoke to me, and so thank you for people. I've given to a GoFundMe recently that my friend Aaron set up for somebody. I'm not putting that down. Okay. What I'm saying, I'm trying to give you the bigger picture is what God showed me is this isn't the time to rebuild. This is the time to look into your soul and see where you're going and to see, what time it is. And some people are going to see and some aren't. But if we're faithful brides, and we just are directly led by God. God told me they would remember. The ones that won't listen tomorrow will remember when the trib comes. So I rejoice in that thought of that. I rejoice in that, knowing that God will get all the glory. He will get all the glory, and he's coming. And I also want to answer some questions. Some people want to know what happened when he fell on my son in 2013. He told my son that all of the children, all of the 18 and under are going, because it's a wicked and perverse generation. And being a high school teacher, I was feeling bad for a lot of my students, because I'm like, Lord, they don't even know the left from the right. How can you judge them? And so they'll be taken to a place of safety. 18 and under are all going up. That's what God told my son. They're all going up, with the exception of a few teenagers who knew better. There's a few teenagers who knew better. And God told my son, with the exception of a few teenagers, they're all going. Okay, so for those of you that are worried about your kids, just take heart, okay? And sorry, my throat is killing me because of the fires. I mean, it's really bad. My face is still swollen. But it doesn't really matter what you look like, because everyone's wearing masks and sunglasses anyway. So when I go to pray for people, I'll have mask on and sunglasses. So well, all that matters, at the end of the day, it's not about what we look like. It's about what's inside, right? And we're beautiful on the inside and beautiful on the outside. But believe me, these fires can take that beauty and make you look like a monster. But I rejoice that I'm suffering. I rejoice that I'm here in California, and God keeps me. We're not going to die of asthma. God's coming. He's coming, and he keeps me. And all this carcinogenic stuff going into our lungs. We're doing our apple cider vinegar and chlorophyll and different natural remedies. But guys, you can use all the natural remedies you want. It's going to get so toxic and nothing's going to save you. Okay. So God just, I do what I do, but then I just trust him, right? We trust him. So I just want to encourage you guys that the day is upon us. Just keep praying for your children. And there's a woman that texted me, or in my comment section, I forget your name, in one of my videos. I just want to tell you that God told me your daughter was accounted for. You were worried about your daughter, and he told me she's accounted for. So I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but I'll put it in the comment section when I have a chance. But God loves you and he cares about you because he brought you to my mind, and you're worried about your teenager. And you left me a comment. I was only able to put a heart on your comment, but I'm telling you, he's coming, and he loves your child. He loves your teenager, and your teenager is accounted for. So your teenager's going to make it. I don't know if your teenager's going to make it. I don't know what that means, but who cares? All that means is she's not going to hell. I don't know if that means she's going in one of the raptures, because there are multiple taking aways. Or if it means that she's going ultimately to heaven and has to go through part of the trib. But I just do know it's good news. He said she was accounted for. So she's sealed. Okay, I know she's walking in rebellion, but God said she's sealed. And she's accounted for. So mother, do not worry. Take your tears and dry them with the hem of his garment and say at his feet. And just keep drying your tears at the hem of his garment and turn your tears to joy, because God is not impotent. Our God is able, and he's good, and he's mighty, and he's powerful. And these fires will continue to burn, and they will burn from east coast to the west coast. And God's judgment and his birth pangs are increasing, which is a precursor to his judgment. So his discipline is upon this nation. His discipline, I like to call it his discipline, because that's his mercy. We only discipline our kids because we love them. If you don't discipline, then you don't love them. And I know that. I have a teenager, so trust me. I have to be on his case about, he's a good kid, but, you got to keep them doing their homework. You got to keep them doing the things they need to do because, their brain is not fully developed and they want to do what they want to do, but you have to say, no, here's the better way. And you can go do your thing first, but you got to do this first, right? So God's saying, look to your soul. Is your soul saved? Because all this is going to burn. And so, please sit with our groom. I was sitting with him this morning, and I could feel his heart of tears, and I could feel his heart of anger. I can feel both. I call it the bipolar King of Kings. He told me he was bipolar back in 2013 when he fell on my son. He'd be crying one minute with me, and then angry the next. I don't want to judge. I don't want to do it. He told me, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then he goes, but I must. My judgments are just and right. And I will never forget that. They're just and they're right. And I must. And he was like looking to me like, right? And I was like, yes, you must. And then he would cry again, but I don't want to see people die. It was the saddest thing I'd ever seen. I'd never seen God act that way. And I said, God, it's like, and I was sitting with him in it, and I was on the roller coaster with him, crying and then being angry with him and then crying again. And then I said, Lord, I can't handle this. You're like bipolar. He goes, yes, I am. And I said, it was almost too much for me. And so he lifted it, but it was too much. And that's why I made the jokes. He'd let me joke about it. I'm like, you're my bipolar King of Kings. He said, yes. And I offered to sit with him when he has these emotions, these extreme emotions. And that's what he's in that moment right now. Let's comfort our King. Let's love our groom, and let's prove our love to him by showing him that we'll spend time with him and sit with him in the garden. That's all that he wants right now, is to sit with him, FaceTime him in the garden, okay? Be with him. I remember when we all decided in our family to get Apple phones so we could all FaceTime each other, like years ago. We all switched from our other phones and all got so we could FaceTime and see each other face to face and just see him. He just keeps bringing that analogy in my mind. Be excited to see him face to face right now. You can. We're going to see him physically and literally any moment, but until then, sit with him, guys. This is not an easy time for our groom. It's a joyful time because he's going to see us, and we're the joy set before him. He told me, my bride is the joy set before me that's enabling me to enact the greatest judgment the world has ever seen. So let's not get entrapped with worldly things. I get all caught up in it too. In my parenting, it pulls me out. I'm like, no, I'm not going to get distracted by anything. I'm keeping my eyes on my King because he's coming any moment. And be ready, guys. He's coming. This is coming.